Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. This will be an update for the Enterprise D build. Been working on the stack over here on these next two decks, decks 5 and 6. Deck 4 and Deck 3, which are the hangar decks, have gone through a lot of changes in the ship itself. And Heller and I think Blue Foes are working on the phaser strips over there, the underlining phaser strips. Not sure what's really going on. I haven't been on the server for the last couple of days, been fighting the flu bug. And oh, by the way, Happy New Year! This is January 1st, 2016. Yay! It was about a year ago that we started the Enterprise E build, which is still ongoing. And there's Blue Phobes. We were just down here working on concept parts for the science labs. But yeah, she's still ongoing. Just so everybody knows, we're still working on the Enterprise E as we feel like it and get time. Hopefully, we'll get some more decks finished up on her, and I'll be able to put out another update for the Enterprise E very soon. I'm not too sure if we've got sort of laid out crew quarter plans yet. I Panic did mock one up a while ago, but I don't know if that's what we're going to go with or not. Still hasn't been decided yet. There are a mega ton of crew quarters on this ship. We really wanted to make sure we covered. We had enough crew quarters, and they're in. So yeah. Anyways, we'll go back over to the D, and I'll kind of walk you around what's going on with the thought processes here. Again, keep in mind that these change as they get incorporated into the main hull. The actual deck layouts, deck plans will get changed. And this may not get updated, so I gotta actually pull the plans from over there and place them back into here. Well, at least half of them, anyways, because the changes on the main decks might, they do affect the stack, of course, but they also might affect what we're doing below the stack. Like, I'll buzz over there and show you the hangar here in just a second. Anywho, we'll zip on down here. This is the old hangar, and the modified hangar removes this area here, down here, removes this area down here, and there's a straight line that goes across. But and we reworked this whole section over here. Now I will show that to you after a bit. Let me zip on over here. We're still getting some. Oops, I forgot to tell the guys recording. Let them know I am recording. Anyways, what I've run into down here on these decks, I have, to be honest with you, with the Enterprise D, and the fact that it was made in the late 80s or mid 80s, a lot of the concept about electrolytic separation and fuel storage and stuff like that really wasn't well known back then. The science of space travel. Now, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Martian or have read the book or listened to the audiobook, but it goes into great detail about how water and oxygen is produced. And they literally they compress the gases. They don't have water, physical water. Well, they have physical water, but it's a very small amount of storage, kind of like fruit punch drink packet size stuff that they can store. But it's so heavy that it's cheaper and easier to use the equipment to break, say, hydrogen or hydrazine down into oxygen and water and fuel, or to take, say, if you have water and you don't want to carry it around or store it around, you would, break it down to oxygen and hydrogen, and then compress those gases. So that's kind of what the process is here. What I'm thinking about here is down here. These are in the Ed Whitefire plans. This area and that area there on both port and starboard, we're on the starboard side, is nothing but massive water storage. It's not needed. The Enterprise D will store things as chemical gases and then combine the gases together to produce the water as needed. And they would have, of course, small water tank storages, but we'd use the Mad Squirrel tanks for those. And they'd just be like this area down here where this water storage stuff is. It would be in these areas here, down under here or up here. Which I'm thinking, since this area here is already designated and these areas are already listed as tanks and stuff, what we might do is forgo, say, a deck here. These, because me and Blue were putting these here in yesterday or day before, or maybe 3 days ago. I don't remember. I've been sick. But in one of these areas here, make it 2 stories, and then just drop the catwalk, and then put big actual physical water tank storage tanks in here instead of making this one big huge water tank. that's probably what we'll end up doing. We'll probably just drop this one, this catwalk right here, and convert this side as well as the one on the port side to full size, you know, water tank storage, kind of like what we've done with the E and Voyager, and to some degree with the Defiant. This took some time to get them in, so I'm real leery of giving these up because this will all be floor unless we make it 2 stories. And the reason we haven't added a floor in here yet is we were still deciding whether or not we wanted to leave this as a 2-story cargo kind of room. But then again, we could leave this all here, and this right here is organic storage, and it's 2 stories tall. What I could do is parch this off a little bit and put the tanks here. And that's actually a better idea because we don't need this much room for organic storage on a ship like this. Again, it uses replicators, so it would have an organic and inorganic storage system, kind of like what's on the Voyager and on the Enterprise E. And now, granted, the plans we're working for on the D are not anywhere near as detailed as those that came from Strategic Design, which were the basis plans for the Voyager and the inceptional plans for the Enterprise E. So what I'm thinking about doing is, in this section here, just turn this into a massive organic and inorganic storage area combined with water storage, water separations, electrolytic separators, and hydrogen and oxygen storage tanks, gas storage tanks, as well as things like hydrazine and things like that, which is basically rocket fuel. And you can break rocket fuel down into oxygen, but then you got to burn off the hydrogen, which you would use for heat or fuel, or convert it into something else, break it down even further. But this is the 23rd or 24th century, and the Enterprise, or well, in this case, Enterprise D, we're not sticking directly to the Whitefire plans, as everybody pretty much realizes that those are just really basic plans that were pretty much sketched out on a napkin and then later, sold or put on the internet. And then the Rick Steinbach plans are much more detailed plans, which, are really nice plans, but they're so busy looking it's kind of hard to follow what's going on. Now, this area here, I'm sure it's labeled and everything else on the Whitefire plans, but it's like several stories tall and everything else. So all these kind of major things that are in the Whitefire plans will be in the D plans. So with any luck, we might shorten it by a deck or two, or change it slightly. Instead of having the Jeffries tubes and things like that on the outside, we might move them to the inside, depending on how much room these things take up. I don't know. We're working on it. But what I did is I went ahead, because this over here I needed to connect these Jeffries tubes to the rest of the ship, the rest of the internal of the ship, and I realized that there is no direct connection anywhere over here on the Whitefire plans, nor is it here. So what I did is these sort of connect here and go down the axis of the ship, the 90-degree or 75-degree angle, whatever the angle that is. You'll have to forgive me, I am really tired and not feeling good. And I extended the Jeffries tubes. You would come out of here across the corridor and run down this one, and it goes to the forepart of the ship along this side here. And I figured that's probably a better use of where the Jeffries tubes need to be on these 2 decks for that purpose. And I'll probably adjust this one similar to what we have down here. Panic and I did this the other night. And basically what it does is this will snake its way forward, all the way forward, kind of at an angle like this, and into this area here. Now, Blue Phobes and I are still working on the placement for these escape hatches and the stuff underneath of them, because the escape hatches literally have to not be hindered. These silos have to go out without running into the, things like this. So all this here is going to get trimmed as we get the final placement for the hatches, and then we'll have the placement for all the silos, and then this wall here is the entrance to the lifeboats, and it'll be adjusted. But there's a huge open space here as well as up here. And what I've done up here on these is I've gone and filled them in kind of tentatively. Again, this is all subject to change, so that we can use these rooms up here. And these could be crew quarters or whatever, but they're right underneath the phaser strip. So they might actually be auxiliary systems for the phasers. I don't know yet. We haven't really decided. We're just gaining some real estate, and then we have to figure out what to do with it once we do gain it. And running along here, you can see that we've been replacing the Well, if you go to the port side, you'll see it's all different shapes of colors and holes and stuff. Well, as we go through, we clean it up. As things sort of kind of get locked into what we want, we convert the sand to magenta. And of course, once everything's where we want it, we'll lower this level down into the deck, and then we'll have a deck pattern similar to what we have above us. Anyways, back to the Jeffries tubes. These Jeffries tubes and stuff, most of these placements are according to the Whitefire plans. And all I did is I added an extended corridor on the outside here. Then Blue Phobes and I added these corridors in through here, like this. So it gives the ship more real estate through here for crew quarters, which is what we really need in these areas. Because again, I'll move the huge water tanks that are here over into this area and make them like I said before, into gas separators and such. Anyways, as I was saying about these Jeffries tubes, before I went off on that darn tangent, is I needed a way to connect this Jeffries tube to this Jeffries tube to the rest of the ship on the sides of the ship. So what I did is I extended this to the aft section of the ship. So we have a ladder here, of course, it comes up, and then I ran a Jeffries tube along this outlining edge. This is a cargo area. I won't change that. That'll remain as a cargo area. And then it comes along here and then down into here along the navigational computer core to here, then forward to our trunk line, which is this system here. Now on this deck, actually it's this deck, this right here stops. Well, it'll probably still go down to the bottom of the ship, don't get me wrong, but at this point it's going to transition back towards the back of the ship, because you got this huge Jeffries tube right here, which is, you know, what we want. But it'll be slightly changed. It won't be like right here, like a freeway. It'll get adjusted accordingly to where we need it to be, more along the lines of down the center of the ship. And this is also where the emergency lift also transitions back to the secondary hull. And this is where it's going to take a lot of work down here, because this is where all the latches start to connect to the ship and so on and so forth. But yeah, that's how the Jeffries tubes are getting laid out. And of course, the Jeffries tubes, they branch over the ship and then up to the, I have to still tie them into it, of course, but to the decks above and everything else, and then down to deck 10 forward. Now, Panic and I were working in this area a few days ago trying to set up the computer core, trying to understand how it is. The one that Patchy Patch did up for the Enterprise D, the original Enterprise version 2.0, it's just a tad bit smaller because this is an upscale version of the ship. But that'll probably be that will be the plan for the new cores, will be the Patchy Patch, but just slightly upsized for current use. So that'll save a lot, but I was having a problem getting the shape, and I still have kind of an issue with the shape of this room through here and the computer core room itself, and that's what I'm working on right now. That's why it's not really done, as I'm still trying to figure it out, because the shape has to be preset before we can lock these two corridors down. And the reason these corridors have to be locked in is because these corridors are going to transition through deck all the way, you know, keep going down, because sick bay and all that's all affected by these decks. These are the decks you see the cast walking along most of the time during Star Trek. Now, granted, there are some episodes of Star Trek, like when Data gets mind controlled by Dr. Soon, and you see a pattern for where he has to go to the transporter rooms. It's, you know, it goes like this, then this way, then this way. That's not going to be in here, and that's a shame, because unless we put the transporter someplace else, you know, it is what it is. You know, that was a set piece that they were limited to, and they didn't use the Whitefire internal design, you know, these deck plans that Whitefire had made. So yeah, you know, it looked good on screen, so that's what they went with. And I've got a screen cap of the image that Data used to mark out his path, and I don't know, maybe I'll put transporters on the deck above us or something, you know, someplace closer to deck 1, 2, or 3. Don't know yet. Figure it out when we get there. Anyways, these are the transporter rooms and their adjacent support system rooms. So these have to be fleshed out yet, mocked up and set up for transporters and such. Obviously, the transporters aren't going to be this shape. They're going to be, you know, more like the conventional Voyager Enterprise E Mad/Atro designs. So don't know yet. But anyways, I extended this Jeffries tube turbolift forward to here, it'll be an angled feed into this area here, which is also considered, I guess this is the shuttle repair bay. So, because the shuttles go up the lift over there into the main hangar, so this is the shuttle repair bay. And it also feeds back here to this cargo bay area here, or shuttle parts storage, or whatever you want to call it. But this is in the Whitefire plans, and I just wanted to make sure it tied in up here, so that's why I added the ladder down here, and then I wanted to make sure that this Jeffries tube system that feeds this side has a way to get to the main Jeffries tube, which feeds the rest of the ship. That is a lot harder than you'd think, especially when you're dealing with, you know, a ship of this scale, because you don't want to adjust things too much because it throws everything else off. Anywho, and like I said, I've extended this Jeffries tubes and all that stuff through here. I also put a corridor here that feeds up like this. Kind of, you can see it kind of goes through here. That means this area here can be converted into crew quarters. Probably one crew quarter, another one, and then have a wall that comes along here. It'll be, you know, something like this, because I don't do those rounded crew quarters on my builds. They're just too funky and ugly to work with. It's just easier to keep everything linear, and, you know, since we're working with blocks, make it blocky, you know, that kind of a thing, as opposed to trying to make it look round, which you really can't effectively do unless you want to have a lot of like one, you know, little areas like this. You know, it's really hard to make a rounded room using square blocks. It doesn't work real well. So that's pretty much where we're at as far as the Enterprise D goes in the stack work. And I'll zip on over here. Take a second for it to load. Actually, let's just do it this way. It'd be easier just to transition to it at one time. Blue and I did do a lot of work up here on deck 1. Yeah, this is deck 1, that's 1A, this is 1B. What we did is we went ahead and filled in if I get down here, we went ahead and filled in the deck area, lulls and stuff like that. This area is not set, so that's why it's not filled in yet. I think we talked about this earlier on one of the other videos. We may have, I forget. But yeah, we worked through here and got this all set up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did a video on this one already. Probably the last video. Haven't uploaded it, so, or it is uploaded, it just hasn't been scheduled for release yet. But I went through here and did some other stuff to it. But Blue's been in here working on it, doing a pretty decent job getting everything tidied up. And, you know, it occurred to me, I think actually that looks pretty damn sweet. Look at that. He went ahead and put the rest of the bridge module up. Let's go up here and check that out. That transition is actually really, it took a lot of trial and error to get this the way it is. I'm sure Blue revised it, because that looks a lot better than what I had. So, pretty darn cool. And I'm going to put a hatch or something right here that we can get down in this area here. So this will be like a little hatch or something right here. But yeah, this food for thought. But that's actually, this right here is the hull of the module. So yeah, that might not work. Anyways, come around through here. You can see what we kind of did through here. It still looks pretty decent. A little alcove here, a little privacy room, probably a small, you know, like one-on-one conference room. This is all this starboard stuff. Actually, it says starboard, but this is the port side for the clamps and the emergency thrusters for the module. That's pretty much it. Let's see here. You can see it transitions all the way down. So fly on out of here. That is actually a pretty decent combination, the way this looks in through here. Really like that. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Anyways, let's zip on down here to the hangar. Now, there is some controversy going on with this hangar, and I don't want to get into the weeds with it. It's just to say that the concept is based off of a video that iPanic and Mad Squirrel saw on YouTube, and they put a lot of effort into it. And we were using a block that really didn't lend itself well to the look down here, and somebody went ahead and authorized the change, and a block was changed, and without consulting the full team. And as mentioned in one of the videos, some nerves got frayed, and it's going to happen, and it's a shame, but you know, we want to avoid those issues in the future, so we're taking steps to make sure that changes aren't done unilaterally without consulting all those affecting. So hopefully that'll correct the issue, and you know, at some point in the future, you know, we can come together and, you know, finish this area up and make it look, you know, bitchin', you know, Enterprise E quality bitchin', you know. but don't know. Don't know what the future holds. Anyways, I went ahead and recontoured all of this. Did a really nice job with it. He came up with a pretty cool idea here for counterstepping. And if you can see it, it actually looks really good from a distance. You know, what we came up with originally looked like crap. And he worked on this for quite some time and came up with this pattern here. So it looks kind of like it has a ridge. And we reconfigured all this area up here to accommodate for the changes here, including, believe it or not, little power lines and trunk line feeds here. So we can route stuff all over the ship from, yeah, pretty cool. But what we did is we moved these walls in, so the corridor itself got changed, and we wanted to make sure that we had gantry or gangway access up to these parts here, and and then again up to the other part here. And these are the decks that I actually have to put on the stack so that the stack is updated to the current build versions. And I got a little area here which will probably just be like a small lounge or something. It's got to be incorporated into, this was the Whitefire plans, it's got to be incorporated into the changed hangar. Of course we have the catwalk here, and then we have the Sky Turbo Bridge, and went ahead and filled in some areas here to kind of give us a feel for how we're going to do stuff. These doors might be widened out, then again they might not be. It just really depends on what we're going to do. Now I'm still conflicted as to what to do with this room here. Panic and I were talking about just kind of rounding it off because this is the venting system for the ship. All the basically, if the ship needs to vent gases or vent exhaust from the hangar, it's all done through here. So if they have to depressurize the hangar, this will depressurize that hangar. This is the main depressurizing system. And it feeds on down. Woohoo, that was not planned. I'll show you here real quick. Feeds on down to these vents here, which actually are above the hangar. So, also I moved this gangway here from doing it like this and then stepping in and then up the ladder. I just put it like this so it'd be a lot easier to do it. But yeah, so I'm not real sure what we're going to do. Oops, the wall's not completed yet. Got to fix that. I'm moving slow. I'm not used to this. Ah, yes, we got the doors in, and it looks like some of the escape pod stuff's put in, or lifeboat stuff's put in, which is kind of cool. It gives you a nice feel of what's going on with the lifeboats. Check it out. Doesn't that look cool? I gotta say, with the black with that was a nice change for that. I gotta say, we did a nice job on that one. Oh, good catch there, Blue. Gotta get in there and fix all that stuff up like you did here. This is pretty damn badass. Pretty neat, pretty neat, pretty neat. But we'll get back down here where I was talking about this area here. Well actually, could have got to it from where we were at, but I didn't do it that way. I wanted to show you those escape pods. Anyway, so I'm thinking we might extend this corridor right here along this wall here, or this area here, so we can utilize some of the room along that wall. Anyways, have it come back to, say, like right here. And this, I'm going to go ahead and slow myself down. And this would be an extension to the cargo bay. So basically, this is why there's a hole here. Be another door here, and this would be another little storage cargo bay. Probably a parts storage or something like that. So I just don't know if I want to actually, if we do it, it'd be something along the lines of like this for a corridor. That door would be gone, and this would just be an extended corridor going out like so. And then, of course, the door to this area would be like this, and this whole area would be converted for that purpose there. And then we'd have like a little room in here, little areas, these two little rooms here would be used, and then this area here would be a door. So I think that's what we're going to probably end up doing. I'll have Blue look at it, and I'll have Em look at it and see what they say. They'll probably give me a green light for it. Panic thought it was a good idea. He was in here working with me on it a few days ago. Steve, that's probably what we're going to do. I'm sorry if you get a little bit of frame rate and drops. It seems to be an issue these days with Windows 10 trying to forcibly install itself on my computer. And I did install it. Unfortunately, it did it by itself. Evidently, if you tell it, it pops a window up saying, download and install later. And it kept popping up, so I just said, okay, yeah, fine, download and install later. it doesn't give you an option of when to say later, and by later it means immediately, and ergo it downloads and installs itself, causing you nothing but lag, and then it sends you a message saying Windows 10 will install upon restart. What? No. Bad Windows. Bad Microsoft. That is a repugnant thing to freaking do. But when it installs itself, the first time it did it to me, it installed, it was fine, everything went great. I did do a clone on my hard drive after realizing what it had done. And but what happened shortly after it did that, my LANs, I have a gigabyte. Oh, I'll tell you here real quick. I have a Gigabyte GAZ97XUD5H motherboard. It comes with a 5-year warranty. That's why I have it. And Gigabyte doesn't. I guess they use second-party drivers for some of their stuff, or third-party drivers for some of their stuff, and unfortunately, they know. Same with ASUS and their 990FX boards. They don't update those things. They're no longer Windows compliant. Although the Windows says everything on my motherboard and system is compliant with Windows 10, it updates, and like I said, it was all working just fine. Then the LANs stopped working. Shortly after it done its updates, it downloaded some more updates, and once it downloaded the second set of updates after it had installed Windows 10, it stopped working. The LANs just stopped working. It's a dual LAN system. One uses a killer, and the other one uses the Intel. So I couldn't download anything. So I figured, oh, I'll just restart. And went ahead and restarted it, and that's when all the USB ports stopped working. I'll respond to blue here. And he's talking about the playback mod, which is a mod that allows me to go around the ship, and then you can pause the video and literally tour anything that is seen in the video. You can fly around like you're free build, like we are right now. It's pretty cool. It's an exceptional mod. You should check it out. I tried to set it up, but I only got it to work where you could only go like one direction. You could look up and you could look down, but if you try to go sideways or something else, it wouldn't work. I should send Blue that link. But yeah, that's what happened. My USB port stopped working, so I had to break out the old PS2 keyboard. I went in and deleted all the USB drivers and chipset drivers and all that, forcing Windows to do a new install and try to find current drivers, and it found the most current drivers but didn't fix shit. So in the end, after hours and hours of troubleshooting, the same with my 990FX board, I ended up rolling Windows 10 back to Windows 7, and then that brought in a whole host of other issues, but ultimately it was figured out and thusly sorted. But since then, Windows 10 has been insisting that it wants to be installed again, and I'm not going to do it. I simply do not trust Windows 10. The installation process, at one point I even did a complete, fresh, full install of Windows 10 after I got the CD code and everything out of the CD code, the license code, through Specky, and I did a fresh install on the cloned drive, and it too failed. The USB stopped working right after it did its most recent update. So it installs, everything works, then it downloads its updates, and when it installs its updates, one of those updates causes everything to go funky-dory. And even with a fresh install, it just wouldn't work with this motherboard. Then I find out through Gigabyte that it's not a Gigabyte issue, it's an Intel issue. According to Intel, it's a Gigabyte issue. Yeah, go figure. Long story short is, don't upgrade to Windows 10 if you don't have to. Even if it's free, you could do the upgrade, grab the CD key, and then roll it back. So, that's my advice. And then make an ISO version of Windows 10 on a disk or a USB drive, and then do a fresh install on a system that is compatible with it. That's my advice. You know, you can take it or leave it, but I ain't touching Windows 10 for a very long time. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking time to watch. Again, this is the Minetrek.net game server, and this was the Enterprise D update. I'm not sure of the number. It's probably above 5. We'll figure it out. See it in the description. If you'd hit that like button for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And please also like us on Facebook. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.